Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Run Day Monday. I want to talk today about summertime running. I'm going to give you my 3 survival tips to allow you to continue your training, to continue running. Maybe you're like me and you run because you need to do it for your mental and physical health, or maybe you're training for a big race in the fall. I'm gonna give you my top 3 strategies for making this summer a great one, and I am so glad that you're here. All right, first of all, let's talk about why am I qualified to talk about summer running? Well, I promised you guys I would show you some of my medals from time to time, and this one is a big deal to me. It's not the fanciest, it has nothing to do with Disney, but I feel like it was my most hard-earned medal, and it was also my favorite marathon, and that was the 2012 Chicago Marathon. Now, Chicago, this was actually the year before it started being a lottery, and I know for a fact that some of you watching this are training for Chicago. It is an amazing race. Y'all, when you're running there, I mean, people are like 10 people deep. Everybody is screaming. I think they said there was like 1 million spectators the day that I ran it. I might be exaggerating, but I don't think I am. The entire city comes out. There are mariachi bands and Chinese puppets, old people at a nursing home waving out the window as you run by. It is a movable feast, to quote Hemingway, and there was nothing that I did not love about race day. We had perfect weather. It was actually my marathon PR to date, and it was just one of those days that you know you will never forget. However, we were living in Dallas, Texas when I trained for this event. I did not really think through what it would be like training through the very hot Texas summer for a marathon. So I was doing 17, 18, 20-mile training runs on days when the high was going to be 97, 98 degrees. So even if I started, before the sun came up, it was already 75 degrees, and it just about killed me. And I learned a few things then that I have carried over into my summer running strategy. We now live in Atlanta, Georgia, where it's not quite as hot as it was in Texas in the summer, but it's a lot more humid. So I hope you like these 3 tips. So the number 1 tip I'm gonna give you, run for time, not for pace or mileage. And here's why. When, a lot of these places, Texas, Atlanta, we tend to go from spring to summer like overnight. Like it's beautiful running weather, and then all of a sudden it's 75 and 95% humidity. Well, if you go out those first few runs and it's 75 degrees and 93% humidity, and you expect your body to get the same pace and be able to do the same mileage as you've been doing in much more temperate weather, it ain't gonna work. And what ends up happening to me is if I try to do the same effort that I have done in the cooler months of the year, I end up very discouraged, I end up very frustrated, and I actually will end up on a treadmill when I don't wanna be, and really when I don't have to be. So just remember that acclimating to summer heat and humidity will happen. It just takes time, and that you're probably not going to be nearly as fast as you are in the cooler months, and just accept it. Just look at it as part of training in the summer, and if you run for time and not pace or distance, that will really help with that. Yeah, so go out for those runs, run like you normally would, but instead of saying I'm gonna run 5 miles today, say I'm gonna run for 45 minutes today, or an hour, or whatever that is, and kind of use that as your benchmark. I don't know if that will work for you, but that's what has really helped me not get super down on myself, because I am so much slower in the summer temperatures. Another thing that I have started doing along that same vein is checking my heart rate, because if I'm running by my heart rate instead of by pace, that will really tell me if on that particular day the weather is affecting me, because I'm going to stay in that same target training zone regardless of what my pace says. So run by time, run by heart rate, try not to run by pace, because it's just a prescription for discouragement. Number 2 is going to sound like you've heard this a million times, but this may be a little different than what you've heard before. Hydrate, and not just with water. That same summer, I ended up in the urgent care, sure that I was dying. My husband struggles with a little bit of high blood pressure, so we actually have a blood pressure cuff here at home. And I was getting dizzy standing up. I was having a lot of dizzy spells. And so I was like, would you check my blood pressure? And I don't remember exactly how low it was, but it was so low that his blood pressure thing gave us like an alarm and said that I needed medical attention. So we rushed to urgent care. I'm convinced that I'm dying. They checked my heart, everything's fine. And finally the doctor, the very sweet doctor at the urgent care says, so tell me about like your lifestyle and what you're doing right now. You know, once they made sure that I was not in fact dying. I said, well, you know, I'm training for the Chicago Marathon. And he said, what are you doing to hydrate? I'm like, well, I drink plenty of water. I'm like, I'm out there with my water. There's places for me to refill my water. He's like, okay, are you replacing with anything else? Now, keep in mind, I'm also a vegetarian, so my sodium is actually not as high as most normal people's anyway because I'm a vegetarian. So really what was happening is I was not getting enough salt. So I'd never had somebody recommend to me to eat more salt. I was kind of new to running. I didn't really understand that that was a thing. But if you're sweating out that much during a long run, if you're me, you need salt. So you also want to have electrolytes. You want to be refueling with something other than just water. I really like the Noon tablets. Everything that's in there seems to work really well for me. I also like that they're really, especially if you're marathon training, they're really easy to carry with you. So you can put one in. I don't like having a huge water bottle because it sloshes around and plus the noise makes me have to go pee. Okay, so I take a smaller Nathan water bottle. By the way, all the running products that I use are in my Amazon storefront, and if you want to check that out, it is an affiliate link, so I do get a tiny commission, but you won't pay more, but on there, there's a whole list of all of the stuff I love for running. One of the things on there is my Nathan water bottle, and what I love about the Noon tablets is I could actually take 3 or 4 of them with me, and just when I refill my water bottle, just plop the tab in there, and it dissolves. It takes a few minutes to dissolve in the water, and then I'm good to go. The one side note, if you get them and you have a water bottle, leave a little bit of room and you have to kind of open it because it's fizzy, it'll kind of shoot out the top. You'll learn it the hard way, like all of us, and you'll get a shot of Noon hydration in your face. That sounds like a good t-shirt. I got some Noon hydration in my face. So anyway, any kind of, you know, it can be Gatorade, it can be Powerade, it can be any of that. But when those temperatures get higher, it's super important that you're hydrating with something other than just plain water. And if you're someone that is, you know, doing marathon training, you may want to consider doing the salt packets or something along those lines, or just making sure you're getting enough salt in your diet. So not advice you normally get, but if you're training for a long race during the summer, it's advice that you need. And then my number 3 tip for surviving summer running is a quote from my wonderful husband on one of the days when I set out to do a very long run. I think it was maybe 12 or 14 miles. And it was going to be very, very hot, and the air quality was very bad, which is another thing that can happen when the temperatures rise. It was one of those orange level air quality days. You know how it'll say on the news that sensitive people should not be outside. And I really did not want to run on the treadmill, but my husband sat me down and he said, you have to accept that not every day is a great day to run outside. And I know that seems like the simplest thing in the world, but he was 100% right. It was going to be too hot. It was going to be too taxing on my body. So we set me up. Back in this house, I had like a treadmill room. My movies, my kind of go-to movies for the treadmill that particular summer were Devil Wears Prada. Howard's End was a big one for me. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was another movie that I used to watch all the time on the treadmill. Doesn't matter. I just had all of my movies lined up. Oh, Summer Magic. I've mentioned Summer Magic before. Haley Mills, great movie. Check it out. I had my whole lineup of movies. I did the treadmill. Was it great to be on the treadmill? No, I didn't love it, but it was far less dangerous than if I had run outside. And sometimes it's just not a good day to run outside. So you need to have a treadmill available, in my view, if you're going to run in the summer, whether that's at a gym, whether that's at your home. I will actually put in my Amazon storefront the Horizon treadmill that I've had for a while that I absolutely love, so that you can go and check that out just to do some research. If you're interested, definitely research the purchase of a treadmill well. It's a big purchase, and if you're going to put the kind of mileage on it that we put on ours, you're going to want to make sure you get a really sturdy one that's going to last you the long haul. So are you running this summer? Are you someone who takes the summer off because you live in a really hot place, or are you someone that just pushes through? If this is your first time training through the summer, I hope that you'll listen to some of my tips, that you'll do some research specifically about running in the summertime. I hope you enjoy your runs, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.